I feel like a lot of the discussion revolving around racism, privilege, colorism, and all that stuff is just oppression Olympics. I think, the whole idea of colorism, privilege, all that stuff is just a guilt trip against those who are not dark-skinned to invalidate others' struggles that we do have. People act like light skin is such a privilege. No, it isn't. Actually, I think mixed race people can experience more racism, or like white people thinking they can treat you however and not get any pushback for it. Black people as well, in ways they wouldn't treat a more black person or a white person. I'm not talking about all black or white people, of course. I don't think light-skinned people experience the same thing that darker-skinned black people do, but we do experience negativity. First of all, lighter-skinned people are not going to be seen differently by a racist white person. They feel like they can get away with being discriminatory towards you if you're lighter or more racially ambiguous. And dark-skinned people have a community. There's racial privilege in having a community. You have an identity in a group, and dark-skinned black people are identified as black more than anybody else. So how don't you have a privilege? So, people have this idea that if you're mixed and light-skinned, you have no problems, no insecurities, no flaws, everything is perfect, we're getting all this stuff for nothing, or just a skin tone or whatever. All of this sort of assumptions is a total exaggeration, and it's coming from someone who doesn't really understand society. It's from their own perspective of being a darker skinned person. I don't understand why they speak for lighter skinned women when they don't know what their experiences are. To me, it's more like speculation and accusations. Like, we have different experiences and relate to them differently. To me, it's like when people talk about feminism, how women feel like they're treated like, oh, women should be seen and not heard. Men just speaking for them and determining how they experience life and what's best for them. So yeah, that kind of thing. But it's different because it's like, well, if I'm the most disadvantaged person, I get to dominate and domineer other people's experiences and identities. So what are these privileges when this topic is discussed? Basically appearance, ethnicity, opportunities, how someone is born. Is shaming people who are born with or who have privileges or advantages, is that going to solve anything? If you're going to shame people without there being any sort of solution, it just looks like a crab in a bucket mentality and just wishing you could change places with them, but hiding behind the concept of privilege. When people are, just extreme like this, a lot of what I hear when having these sorts of discussions seems to be about taking people down who you feel are held up and replacing them with someone else, which isn't healthy either way. They see everything through their lens, like they should be the prize and everyone should look to them as the ideal thing. Like, why should someone have to see everything as ideal as it is in their eyes? Like, expecting mixed people to support you over their own images. It's like, it's not that they're mad people benefit off skin tone. It's like, I'm mad I don't benefit off mine. It's like, I'm not mad privileges exist. I just want to have those privileges. It's like they're only against these privileges, colorism and such, because it doesn't benefit them. But if it did benefit them, then they wouldn't be against it, White privilege is a real thing, just as black privilege is a real thing, and just as different people have different privileges based on their environment. Everyone has specific privileges tailored to every situation they're in that involves other people. So yeah, privilege is not fair, society is not fair, privilege is not going anywhere. So, yeah. Uh, as far as racism, I mean, as for me, I experience racism exists, biases exist, but I mean, how much of a problem is it when it doesn't really affect your personal life? Then I can't really see it as a problem if it's just some random person's opinion. To me, it shows that someone is fragile if they're really hurt by that. I mean, racism exists, yeah, it's problematic, but I don't think you should be really hurt by it. I mean, I don't think we should be shocked racism exists if you look at the history of this country. But, you know, slavery was over 200 years ago. My dad wasn't a slave. My grandma wasn't a slave. I'm not really interested in what whites or blacks did a long time ago. Have I experienced much racism? I don't really think so. But I really don't feel like color has to do with how people are treated. I think not being perceived as black can have some effect. That can be negative, positive, neutral. I mean, like, it's a convoluted topic. It's not like a one size fits all. The things I experienced that, you know, were racist or could be considered racist was done quietly, like behind someone's back. It didn't really seem to affect anything or be against all black people or dark-skinned black people. Like, I've seen people be racist about, like, the hood, ghetto, loud stereotypes. I don't think that has to do with skin tone. I've seen plenty of people who are darker who do not get those stereotypes, and plenty of people who were lighter and get those stereotypes, and vice versa. So really, I think that framing all of this as, you know, some sort of colorism and racism is a distorted view on the issue. I think some people are confusing experiences they've had with colorism or racism when really they just have other issues going on. People aren't valued on their skin tone, they're valued on character. But in these discussions, people seem to see it that way, which is not good. And, you know, I think one of the main issues with all of this is men. Like, men get brought up a lot, like, oh, who's preferred and who gets gassed up, you know, that kind of thing between lighter and darker, like lighter skinned women being preferred or preferring, like black men, like darker skinned black men, you know. I don't really see it that way. Like, I don't see it as anything wrong they've done. Like, they're trying to make it out. I just think it has to do with genetics, environment, you know. I mean, do people really control who they're attracted to? I know I really don't. Like, I have like a fluid, multicultural identity, but yeah, I notice a lot of, you know, light-skinned, mixed or light-skinned, they have more of like a monocultural identity. And I mean, like, people need to be preferred by who they're preferred by. They need to attract who they attract because, I mean, it's their own personal situation going on there. So, yeah, like, you know, when you're biracial, people will say, white people won't accept you, you'll still be seen as black by the police, by society, etc. White people won't accept you, you'll still be seen as black by police, by society, etc. And to me it's like, you know, I don't base my identity or worth on white people's preferences or what they think. And, you know, I'm not fully white or fully black, so I don't expect to be fully accepted by either side. I don't feel like I fully fit with either side or accept them fully myself. It seems like a lot of people on the black side base their identity and their experience around whiteness. Like, the white man still sees you as black, or white people will reject you. Their contention revolves around whiteness and what white people think. To me, it's like they kind of devalue their blackness, and to me, that's the root of the problem. I don't base my identity around what white people think. I don't base my desirability around white beauty standards. Like, this is not the way I think about these things. I don't put white people's opinions on a pedestal. I don't think the standard for mixed race is whiteness. For me, it's being mixed of two things. I never thought black features are less than because they're not preferred by white people. I'm not against dark-skinned black women being preferred or being pedestalized. Like, why would I be against that? A lot of people think there's only one standard of beauty, and that's false. Beauty is subjective, and it always will be. There is no one set of features that everyone prefers or finds beautiful. I never felt like I was below other races of people or below someone just because of race. I think there are beautiful Indian, Hispanic, Asian, white, black, and mixed race women, and one is not more beautiful than the other. The whole situation where you have black women having an issue with other races of women, mixed women or whatever, to me comes from being angry in a sense of feeling you are less than, or a jealousy thing. I've always felt like you learn to embrace different kinds of people. Like, there are all sorts of different types of beauty. There's no need to take down any type. So yeah, I don't understand why people have to hate on other people unless they feel like they are not enough. Shouldn't you focus on the fact that you feel like you are not enough rather than focus on why you dislike someone else? I mean, if you have self-esteem issues, why don't you go to a therapist and actually try to fix it? Not try to go on the internet and actually just, attack women you feel are better looking than you or whatever is going on in your head. It's just a matter of, I'm an insecure person. These are the people that make me feel insecure about myself. And just expose yourself as a person with an inferiority complex. I never felt insecure about white people embracing who they are. I never felt insecure about Indian people embracing who they are. I never felt insecure about Latina people embracing who they are, or any other type of person. People act like people of lighter hues aren't supposed to be embraced. They aren't supposed to be appreciated. Like, they're supposed to praise and worship someone else's phenotype that they don't even have. Of course, I prefer my own phenotype. That's just how it is. That doesn't mean that I think dark skin is unattractive. I think people should be happy with what they have. You should be happy and embrace what you are. I feel like a lot of the time these people might not be happy with who they are or what their phenotype is. They're unhappy. If you're happy with yourself, like, we shouldn't be happy with what we are because they're unhappy with themselves. It's because other dark-skinned people are attacking each other and talking down on each other. When this happens, they're basically looking in the mirror and talking and thinking badly about themselves. Like, we don't need to be hating anybody because of their skin tone or because of them embracing their skin tone or being black or mixed. They assume if a lighter skinned person embraces themselves that it is somehow against dark skin. No, it means that they're confident enough to embrace you and embrace their own phenotype. So, I mean, I don't understand why they assume that it's against dark-skinned people. Some people get offended or upset, they try to say that it is colorist for anyone to prefer lighter-skinned women over darker-skinned women. To me, it's like, no, that's not colorist. What is self-hating is when dark-skinned black men don't love their own skin tone and love someone else's skin tone more than their own. When they talk about privilege, they talk about how light-skinned women are preferred. And to me, it's like, preferred by who, though? They talk about light skin being preferred by dark-skinned black men, by the black community, by other people. Like you guys in the black community, you kind of hype up and fawn over like light skin, curly hair, light eyes, and then get kind of mad that you do. You can't really see that as something that I would appreciate. I mean, like, I don't have any interest in this stuff. I don't have any interest in these men, and it's annoying, when people keep putting their own interest on me. Just keep that to yourself. Like, really, the same people complaining about this stuff are the same people perpetuating it and feeding into it. So yeah, these people, in my opinion, are just looking for someone to feel sorry for them. Like, when they can't deal with their own insecurities, they want to push it off onto other people and simultaneously blame you for how they feel about themselves. And with black men, the main interaction I've had with black men has been harassment, unwanted harassment, being hit on, being asked out, being followed around, things of that nature. Very inappropriate and aggressive behavior. Often, the first thing they say to me is, "What are you mixed with?" Telling me how I'm better than them, how my skin tone is better than theirs, how being mixed is better. Like, why do you have to imply that mixed is better than black? Like, why am I going to be with someone that I'm better than? Like, what are you doing? I mean, I guess they don't get it from black men. They don't get asked out. They don't get followed around. They don't have that happening to them, I guess. Most of the time they're attacking you, I guess, or whatever is going on. I really don't know your experience. I really don't. It sounds like we have the opposite experience in this regard. Like, I don't have a preference for black men, and it's annoying when they love black men and it bothers them that they think you like black men or whatever is going on in their head, or that black men like you because they want all that attention. I mean, this has nothing to do with me. Now, white people preferring one complexion over another, I do not see it as colorist, because if they prefer lighter, then that's what it is. If they prefer darker, that's what it is. Is it colorist if they prefer something darker? No. So how is it colorist if they prefer something lighter? Someone who is a different race from you or a completely different color from you, they do not have to like you, or like they're not obligated to have an attraction to you. White people can be attracted to white people and never find anyone of another race to be attractive. There's nothing racist about that. There's nothing colorist. Like, I don't think it's odd to want a partner that looks like you or has a similar phenotype. I don't think it's odd to want children who look like you. If they prefer something lighter, is it really that confusing when they are more similar in color to someone lighter than someone darker? So it's not so distant from their own phenotypes. It's not anything wrong, it's just a matter of where they are and what their position is in regard to their phenotype. That's not hating dark skin, that's just preferring what is closer to you. If they don't like, if they don't like black women, if they don't like mixed women, if they don't like Hispanic women, if they only like white women, that's fine. So why are you surprised? You're only surprised because you do not understand that sometimes people like their own skin tone, their own phenotype. And yeah, you have instances of opposites attract, that kind of fits into the whole thing of genetic diversity being beneficial, but you know, I like my phenotype and I like men with my phenotype. You know, you wouldn't understand that as a dark-skinned person, because a lot of dark-skinned people teach each other not to like each other, to not prefer each other, you know. So, you know, you go to other races and other colors and other phenotypes to prefer you because you didn't learn to appreciate yourself. And that's fine, but then you expect other people to be the same way. Like, you put that complex onto other people and insinuate that's the way that they need to be as well. Like, that's actually just you. Like, don't expect that from other people.